Yo, yo. How's everybody doing tonight? Get this underway in just a moment. Just getting a few things sorted out before we go live. We got the BTC one-day chart up, the daily BTC chart up. Turn the music down. Oh, cut out there abruptly. Oh, let me turn it down though. Make it background vibes. What up, everybody? Let me get rid of this banner because we are now live on this beautiful Wednesday evening. As I mentioned, we got the BTC daily chart up. Quite a move today. Quite a move today. A lot of speculation and news coming out about Jane Street and their involvement in the Terra Luna collapse, and a lot of speculation that after they got called out, they've been the structural BTC seller in the market and their selling stopped. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. But it's definitely been a strong move today. But we ended up right into a daily SFP. You guys know Rap is the SFP guy. Rapture's all about them SFPs. We're going to dive into that momentarily. Moonar Vibes in the chat says, GM, my dude, how are you? Good to see you. Bring this up for a second. And I want to say welcome to Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions number 17. 17 already in the bag. God damn. Time is flying. Time is flying. When did I first bring the streams back? Was it beginning of February? End of January? End of January. It has to have been end of January. I can't remember. It's been maybe like 6 weeks. We've done 17 episodes. That's pretty good. How's the mic? Is the mic volume okay? People in the chat, let me know. Not a huge turnout right now, but that's all good. As I say, rain or shine. Big audience, small audience. I will continue to show up and be consistent for you guys here so we can traverse the market together. Well, we've got the daily close show today with the market putting in its midnight UTC daily closes a little over 2 hours ago now. We're going to focus on high time frame levels and do a little low time frame setup hunting. So we're going to go through, since we did have such a displacing move today, a nice solid displacing daily candle move, probably some high time frame levels we can adjust and get rid of off our charts so we can not be looking at stale levels. Because if it had been a high time frame level we are monitoring and price sliced right through it, well, its relevancy diminishes. We nailed the bottom the other day. We'll get into that. Closed a little too early. It is what it is, though. We're going to take a look at BTC, ETH, SOL, maybe a look at Hype. See how Hype's doing. We're also going to talk about what is a breaker. You guys hear me talk all the time about these breaker entry setups. So we're going to get into what is a breaker. How do I find them? How do I mark them? How do I define them? And we're also going to talk a little bit about why trading demands your focus, and a little anecdotal story from my personal experience recently that we'll get into a little bit later. I want to give a shout out to the good folks over at BingX, bingx.com. Use code Rapture on sign up and get yourself a nice little sign up bonus. You can go, I think they got up to 150x leverage, which is insane. I don't recommend you use more than 10x. But if used appropriately, leverage is a wonderful tool. Okay, enough about that. Let's get back to the charts. You know, I'm going to switch up this tune real quick. But you know what? It's a vibe. We're going to keep this vibing for a little bit longer. I'm vibing with it. So what do we have here? The BTC daily chart. As I said, we had a nice strong move today, but right up into the daily SFP. and I spoke about in my Telegram channel. By the way, if you are not a member of my Telegram channel, Rapture's Tradebook, you can find a link to get access in the description for this video on YouTube or directly from my bio on Twitter. It is a free Telegram group, so come on and join. So in my Telegram channel, sorry, it's a channel, not a group. Let me make sure I don't let you think it's a group. It is a channel. I pointed out, I said, well, we're putting in a potential H12 SFP, also happens to be a daily SFP. And I said, well, the H1 breaker is confirmed. Where is that? That's here. This is that H1 breaker. I'll delete this so you can see. This is the H1 breaker. I'll show you how I outline that from there to there. And we'll dig in a little bit later in this session as to what constitutes the breaker. But there it is, and you can see we're rejecting right off it, right? Close below, confirm the breaker, retest it on the next candle, sold off, retest it again, sold off. This is a classic trader main H12, H1 setup, or in this case, a daily H1 setup. Big shout out to the homie Trader Main. Learned a shit ton from that guy. Really unlocked a lot for me on the charts. But we'll get into this a little bit more in detail about what breakers are in a bit. But if you are looking for what the short is, here it is. Invalidation up here. You can see we also took out a bunch of weekly levels. Let's just go right to the weekly chart then. Why don't we? So we're still very much in a bearish weekly structure, right? Swing high to swing low, defining our bearish weekly range. We are still trading inside week now. 1, 2, 3. This is the third week inside week trading. We took out a weekly range quarter. You guys know that I like to mark out my weekly range in range quarters and also inside week with range quarters. We still have this supply up here. We can still remain bearish on weekly all the way up to here. And we're all the way down here still, right? Like everyone's getting excited. And this was a great move that we put in today. But realistically, weekly remains bearish all the way to up here. The only thing that would change that dynamic is if we come down and take out this low and put in a weekly breaker. And then it would change structure to bullish, but we're not anywhere near having that conversation yet. You can see those weekly range quarter levels doing what they do. So that's BTC on weekly. Let's take a look at daily here, right? So daily also bearish structure, swing high to swing low. That created a lower low, defining our high time frame daily primary trading range. We've been trading within an internal range, right? Up to here. And it's been putting in lower high with an SFP here. So that's not ideal. I just want to take a look now. Looks to me like we can probably just get rid of this level. But what we can do is, because we had this candle close, we can drop this down here as a daily level. There we go. So these are our current daily relevant levels. There's another daily level up here. I remind you, price can trade all the way up until here and remain in bearish daily structure. So it could still come up and take out these. Like say this SFP gets negated and we start trading up and close above here. Well, we still have other levels here, right? And we just mark our high time frame levels so that we have something to frame a trade around, and we trade those low time frame interactions, right? I don't really care if I'm long or short. I go with what the chart is telling me. So that's what we have on daily. We'll leave these levels up, although I think if it gets up into here, it's likely to take out that weekly level, but we'll leave it for now. Nothing else to change here on the daily chart. Let's go down to H12, see what we can do. Okay, now that's a lot of fucking levels. This is some shit we can clean up. You see this? This level was relevant, but now we sliced right through it on H12. We can eliminate that. Bam, gone. I think since we took that out as well, we can also eliminate that. Bam, gone. Right away, we're already cleaning some of this up. I think, would I get rid of this one? I don't know. Until we take some of those out, I think we leave those. So let's just bring these across so that, oops. We can extend those over. I think that's about it on H12. Nothing else to do there. All right, yeah, it's a lot of lines. As you guys know, people that have been with me for a while, I like to leave those high time frame lines. I use different colors and thicknesses to mark out different levels, so it means different things, right? Like the thick gray lines are monthly, the thin gray lines are weekly levels, the thicker purple lines are daily range extremes, and all the thin purple are internal range levels, right? So can be an H12 range extreme, can be an H4 internal level, H12 internal level, daily internal level, but that's just so I know it's not the actual daily range extremes. So that's what we have on H12. Yeah, this is a lot going on right here. And I kind of like, it does fuck with my head sometimes to see that many levels like that, but you just never know. Oh, excuse me. Which one is going to take out and get your interaction off. So I'm not quick to remove levels that are untapped. Let's go to H4, see what we're working with here. Okay. So H4. On Tuesday, we put in that H4 SFP, and we had that low time frame setup down here. I believe it was an M15 that I outlined. Yes, here. Actually, no, it was an hourly that I outlined. It's right here. In Telegram, I said, here's your H4 SFP, H1 breaker, retest, there's your long. Well, that's what happened. Check the receipts, bros. Well, now we're doing up here a daily SFP, right? This down here was just an H4 SFP. Well, now we're doing a daily SFP, and we've confirmed the H1 breaker. Let's bring it back to H4, though, so we can... I don't know, if we come all the way back down here, we're not just going to take out that level, so I think we could put that. Now, something that I do see is once we put in that H4 SFP, we do have this massive H4 breaker, right? I think it's going to be a large box, and just bear with me. And actually, in fact, what you did have was here. After that H4 SFP, you did have an H4 market structure shift style breaker. And look at exactly where it tagged. We also have an H4 fair value gap in here. I kind of just think that maybe you box this out and you're like, okay, it's a large box. A large zone, but retest into here, you're looking for the next long. What's today? Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a couple days will be into the weekend. Like, you could very likely see this just chop around here a bit, maybe push up a little bit more tomorrow during the New York session, but I could see it come down into here, put in a bunch of H4 candles and give you an H4 swing low that gets SFP'd over the weekend, maybe on Saturday night, Sunday morning, before the next long up. So we're going to leave that boxed. You do also have that weekly range quarter level that maybe just comes down and takes that out again. That's what I'd be looking for next longs, truthfully. I don't want to be longing here. Right? I'm looking for the higher low. Well, it would form somewhere here. Yes, that's a large box. We'll deal with that when we get there. Just remember, guys, these breakers, these boxes, they're not automatic bids. It's not just place your limit there, order there, stop below there, and be happy and comfortable with a large amount of drawdown. No, it's just our target zone. It's where we look to hunt for the next setup. So we can see those weekly range quarter levels, right? Like these two here, those two gray lines right there is a double stack weekly range quarter. One from the weekly range extremes with the quarters, and another one just from that inside week candle. They both lined up right there. It was a pretty good confluence of a rejection from there. So that's our high time frame levels. I don't really see anything else. Like there's nothing else on H4. Like would I put a line there? Not really, because this just sliced right through. It did nothing. So it's not of value to me. This, that, there, more important. Okay. That's BTC. Let's take a look at ETH. Getting some sell order, large market sells on BTC on the M5. So ETH also an insane candle. Let's just clean up some of these levels because they're just obviously not very relevant. Move this down here. The fuck is that? I don't even know. Get rid of that. Sounds like fireworks or something. Interesting. Maybe it's gunshot. Gonna have to call the popo now. Sounds like it's fireworks. 1 second. Let me just look out the window. Be right back. Yeah, it's fireworks for some reason. Let's take a look here. So it front ran that level there, but it definitely SFP'd this one here. But in the process, took out that weekly range quarter level. Is that a week? No, that's a monthly level. Swept the monthly level. So I think I can leave that out because the more important one was the monthly level there. It's come down and retested this level, giving a little bit of a reaction. See, now BTC, we had deleted some of those levels there. For some reason, I feel like on ETH, these might be relevant. Right? Like maybe what we could say, maybe what we might say to ourselves is, on ETH, you'd be looking to longer retest like that. Right? Something down to there. I like it. It's not a normal breaker because there wasn't a SFP here. There was no high time frame SFP there, but I kind of like it. Let's go on H12, see what we got. Interesting. Okay, so for some reason that wasn't showing up. But what you can see here is we flipped an H12 bearish breaker. This was an H12 bearish breaker and we flipped it. Now all of a sudden we have a bunch of levels happening in here. Yeah, I think this is a wide ass zone. I do think we're hunting longs though. Even though we've put in these SFPs up here. The next move is going to be hunting long somewhere down in here. My question is this H12 breaker going to hold, or is this daily box down here going to be more important? That is a bit of a conundrum to me right now. This level gave nothing, as did that one. I think we can move this here. Tap, tap, flip. Okay, there's some H4 levels on ETH. H4 daily and H12. This is a little muddy in here. We'll come back and we'll clean this up. I need a minute with that one. Go to Solana now. See how those weekly range quarter levels, right? We also put in a daily SFP down there on SOL. What day was that? That was on Tuesday. Excuse me. So now, you know how I was talking about on ETH, it wasn't a regular breaker because it didn't have the high time frame SFP. Well, there was your daily SFP on SOL. Here's the market structure break level. Here is your daily breaker. This is a daily bullish breaker on Solana. I haven't seen anything bullish on Solana in a while. Well, this is bullish. This is a daily bullish breaker. So returns into here. Maybe a more attractive long. How much did this? Now we did put in a daily SFP up here. Down into here though. Definitely hunting longs. We also flipped that H12 bearish breaker. Let's clean some of these levels up. Let's clean some of these levels up. I think we get rid of that. Get rid of that. I think we can get rid of that, but what I will do, okay. There's daily and H12 levels on Solana. Let's go on to H4. How's everybody doing, by the way? Yo, MM, what's up? What's up? Good to see you again. How you doing, my friend? Okay, now this is muddy as shit. This was an old H4 breaker. Irrelevant now. Sorry, guys. I'm just thinking in my head here. Okay. Those are high time frame levels on Solana. Solana, BTC, man, this is tripping me out with all those levels there, but we just don't know which one's going to be or might be in the future. And ETH, and this is looking gnarly too. Kind of just want to nuke the levels and start clean. Nice pump today, but see a retrace before more up. I mean, yeah, that's just normal, right? Nothing goes up in a straight line. Got to form a higher low somewhere. And that's what we've been outlining. We've got a lot of outlined zones. Let's see how that H1 breaker is doing. Still holding up. Okay, we've mapped out our high time frame levels on BTC, ETH, and Solana. Let's take a quick look at hype, and then we'll dive into some of the other stuff I wanted to talk about. So we came deeper down into the weekly breaker. Ooh, and you actually printed a daily lower low. That's not ideal. So this is now a market structure break with your daily swing high up here and your daily swing low down here. There it is right there. Oops, it moved the swing high. There we go. Okay, so this is now your hype daily range. It's a bearish range, but still into the weekly bullish breaker. We can get rid of this now. It's crazy though how everyone's getting so fucking bullish hype here. We just are bleeding down. You know, maybe now that BTC appears to be more back on the menu, hype may be about to underperform. Oops. We have to keep in mind, this is a weekly bullish breaker, this big box here. So it can run counter trend on daily, can turn bearish before finding a low. Maybe it comes down and gives you a daily SFP to rip off of. But at the moment, daily is bearish and this is supply. And look exactly where it rejected off of. That's a daily bearish order block. Right there. But within monthly demand and in weekly demand, I don't want to muddy things by putting this here. Excuse me, burping a little bit here. You can see how that H4 level lost it. Resistance, resistance, flipped it. Now finding support on it. So that's a good sign. I don't like the daily loss structure here. I'm sure this might just be a deviation reclaim. I would like some sort of high time frame SFP though to tell you this is a reversal. Maybe it gives you an H4 here. All right, let's just mark out these H4 levels here on hype. So you're looking for interactions off one of these, right? Like, is this enough? I don't know. I don't know if this is enough given that daily flip bearish. I would like a proper swing low taken out before going up. Anyways, those are the levels I see on hype. But it is good to keep in mind, this is a bullish weekly breaker off of a monthly bullish SFP. Retesting that monthly level, right? That's this level here. This needs a little bit more development for me. I wouldn't want to be buying here, because this could go either way for me. I would much prefer to take out this, or maybe that H4 level, or close above here to recapture daily, and then you have a daily breaker. I don't really like this here at all. Yeah. Okay, well, those are the levels on hype. Was this an H4 SFP? You did get an H4 SFP down on the low. You did get one there. All right, guys, I keep telling y'all, H4 SFPs, especially in alts, but on any asset, really. But altcoins love an H4 SFP. Look at that. There's your H4 SFP. That H4 SFP also gave you an H1 bullish breaker. Right here. The swing high that creates the H4 SFP, the lower time frame swing high that created the H4 SFP, closed above, retest, boom. Ooh, and did it give a... Did it actually take that out? No, it front ran it. I thought you had an H1 SFP within there. It did not. But you could go down to even lower time frames and see what was going on. Okay, so H4 SFP M15 breaker closed above. Boom. Which kind of leads me as a segue into what I wanted to talk about. What the fuck is a breaker? Like, you guys hear me say all the time, breaker, breaker this, breaker that. High time frame SFP, there's your breaker. SFP, there's your breaker, there's your breaker, 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 breaker. What the fuck are these breakers this guy's talking about? They're really quite simple when you know what you're looking for. And we can use this as an example. We can use this as an example. Let's zoom back out to H4. Here we are over here. Let's just zoom right in there so you guys can get really intimate with this. Right here. H4 swing low was set. You had an H4 SFP, right? Meaning the H4 candle took out the low and closed as an SFP. Now, before we even knew this closed as an SFP, though, and you'll see me often do, I'm trying to show you guys setups live. What we do is we go down to low time frames. Let's start with the hourly. We'll work our way down. We'll start with the hourly and we'll work our way down. Excuse me. This is the H4 SFP right here. You guys understand that, right? This is the H4. This is the level. This is that H4 SFP taking place, right? What happened here was you have on low time frames, currently this is hourly, so we had a swing high that creates that H4 SFP, meaning the low time frame price action that created that H4 SFP. There is the top of your breaker. There's the bottom. That is your breaker. This is the low time frame swing high that creates that high time frame SFP. People selling, people selling, people selling. Price reverses. All these people who are selling underwater, flips it. You get a market structure break. Here, I'll outline that so you can see. See that? When you got a close above that swing high, there's your market structure break. Right, you can see that. Zoom right in. There's your market structure break, confirming this box as the breaker. When you got the close above, retest, boom. Now we can drill down to lower time frames so you guys can see that this is all just fractals. It plays out on every time frame. You can go as low time frame as you want to do for this. This is now M15. This is still the H4 SFP. We're just going to adjust this now. Watch. Ooh, boom. There's the swing high. Let me move the box. You can see the swing high that creates that H4 SFP. Boom. And again, here is your market structure break level. All right, same as it was on the H1. Well, here it is on M15. H4 SFP created, close above, flip the box, confirming the breaker, the market structure break, retest. And this even gives you those third and fourth order signals. If you had the patience, you got an M15 SFP within the breaker. That's what I talk about, layering signal upon signal upon signal, right? That's how I like to trade. MMS, how long have you been trading this SFP strategy, and is it your only trading system? I've been trading SFPs for a long time, but it was only in the last year that I decided to focus on them specifically. And the reason why I did that was because you see how, first of all, they happen on any chart, on any asset, which means that you're never at a loss for trading opportunities. They happen on every time frame. It's all just fractals. And once I figured out the correct order of alignment that I'm looking for, right? Like it's really about the high time frame level first, and then getting the low time frame price action to align with that, or not to align with, to give me the indication is how price is interacting on low time frames. That tells me whether the trade is valid or not. You know, I pretty much exclusively trade, well, I trade high time frame levels. They don't always have to be an SFP. You know, like here, this level here, these are not SFPs coming into it. These are sweeps. But you get a low time frame SFP into that sweep, then it's a much better trade. Right? The first and foremost, it's all about high time frame levels. And I'm quite confident in my high time frame levels. Just very dialed in on reading a chart and how to mark them out, which is what I share with you guys during every live session. And, you know, it just comes from years of sitting with the charts and staring at price action to know which levels are better than others. So first and foremost, it comes down to those levels, but SFPs and then what I do with them are predominantly the trades that I take. Why would I need any other type of trade if they happen so frequently and are so reliable? At least for me, right? I don't see the need to. I'd much rather be a specialist than a generalist. So getting back to this. So this was your M15. Let's take it down another level, because I keep saying it's all fractals. Let's see what M5 gave us. See if there was a different trade on M5. So here's that same breaker. Okay, so M5, it was the same box. There's no difference. This is the swing here. I'll move this so you guys can see. This is the H4 SFP taking place here. It's the same box on M5. What we might be able to do, though, is see what that looks like on the look. On M5, you got a whole, like, you got more M5 SFPs into it, right? Within that breaker, right? Like here. Let me show you what I mean by that. right? Like these are the things I look for on low time frame. Once I get the confirmed breaker, I'm on multi time frames monitoring. Now, I don't know if you've only been with been here for a few sessions, and man, and I do appreciate you continuing to show up and put in the work to learn. But my main battle station is, oh, we're still on. We're still on the high time frame swing. Okay, so this is my high time frame swing layout. And I don't usually go with this low time frame on this because this is for weekly SFPs. My main layout, it's a 6 time frame layout. We'll get into that when we go back over and look at BTC again. Let's just finish up this demo and exercise on breakers. And you guys hear me talk all the time about layering signal and setup, right? So you have your H4 SFP, M5 and M15 breaker, bullish breaker, right? The market structure break. Then I'm looking for those third order signals and setups being an SFP within that zone, right? And that just gives you a tighter entry because your stop goes down here, but I like to use a loose or manual stop and not a hard stop. So I'll take a trade in here, like off something like this. And if price starts coming down against me, I'll cut well before this happens and wait for a next setup if it's going to happen, right? So say this SFP'd and then it starts trading below it, I'll cut, watch more price action. If we get another situation like this, but it's like down over here, I will take the trade from here with a much tighter invalidation and a larger size. And the little that I lose from cutting this early just doesn't fucking matter. So this is M5. Let's take it down one more step. Let's just go to M1 and see. Because I do trade on the M1. Ah, okay. So we keep talking about these breakers and what they are. Well, friends, there. And this is why I like to exist on low time frames, high time frame levels with low time frame execution. You can't get this sort of execution from high time frame alone. There you go. So here is your M1 breaker, meaning your 1 minute breaker off the H4 SFP. You flipped, put in a market structure break, confirming the breaker. And when you're doing this on M1, you bid the retest. Now this is such a small zone, right? Like this area here, that I won't necessarily wait for something like an M1 SFP within here. I'll just bid the retest and see how price action unfolds. I mean, you can see, but when you're existing down here off of a high time frame level, and keep in mind, guys, I like to trade intraday. But you might be looking at this like, oh, when you're trading on that low time frame, like, can you even, like, now, for people that are new to learning this strategy, I'd tell them, just focus on 2 to 1 for now. You can expand your targets as you get more comfortable with executing like this. But also realize you get multiple stabs at each trade, and you can pull them off successfully. This is 2 to 1 with your stop. Sorry. Yeah. So that's not quite 2 to 1. That's 1.65. So where's the 2 to 1? The 2 to 1 is up there. There's your 2 to 1. Get comfortable pulling that out of the market on these trades. And as you get more comfortable with your execution, just start then targeting high time frame levels, right? Look at that. You got almost 3.5 to 1. Take it up even further, right? Like, this is why I like executing on low time frames, because I much lower time spent in drawdown, if ever, because I'm cutting if price action doesn't look like what I'm looking for, but I'm also really quick to retake a position, because I'm okay with taking a few stabs before the actual turn occurs, because I'm executing on such low time frames. I'm not saying this is what you're going to get out of these trades, right? Like, ultimately, this went a lot higher, right? Where did that end up going to? All right, that's 10R. I'm not saying that's what you're going to get out of these, and I'm not saying that that's what I consistently target. As I said, I like to trade intraday. I'm happy with a 3 to 1 and just take another trade. You bang out 1 to 3 3R trades per day. That is a ridiculous, consistent path of account growth, right? It just boils down to your position size, right? And when you're executing this low of time frame, maybe you're not using 1 to 2% of your account. Maybe you're using 0.5 to 1%, depending on how confident you feel about your setup. So then a 3R trade is 1.5% on your account. Do that 2 times a day, 3%, like, you know, it compounds really quickly. These are the things you need to keep in mind. And you minimize your risk for drawdown. You don't have to sleep on positions unless you like to trade that way and hold on to your positions longer. I'm older. I like to do my work. I like to take my trades, and then I like to finish my day and just forget about the market, and then see what the market has in store for me the next day. Anyways, that was a little trip into what breakers are. Because, you know, you guys hear me mention them all the time, or I talk about them in a Telegram channel saying, here's the breaker. On these live sessions, here's the breaker. And post on Twitter, here's the breaker. Well, that's what they are. You're looking for the high time frame SFB. And then you're looking for the move on low time frame that creates that SFP. And then you're looking for a market structure break. And then a retest of the breaker. And then various ways you can get on board. You can also use moving averages, right? Say here, let's just take a look. So after that breaker confirmed, tagged into moving average, SFPs into moving average, SFP into the breaker, right? Like SFPs, right? Your bias is bullish. You're ignoring all these bearish SFPs, and you're trying to capture a bullish signal for a local bottom. Hopefully that was helpful and helps you guys understand breakers a little bit more. So again, on the hype chart, I'd like to get an SFP off one of these lows, especially since daily broke structure, right? We're going to bearish structure now on daily. Okay, that's hype. Let's go back to my BTC trading battle station. We're pushing back up towards the breaker a bit. Let's bring this over here for a second. So, what is a breaker? That's what they are. hopefully that segment there helps you guys better understand breakers, because I'm not going to stop talking about them. I use them every single day. Where are we at? We're almost at an hour, so I want to wrap this up pretty soon. Why focus in trading matters? You know, if you want to trade for a living, you have to treat it as your job. You have to give it the respect it deserves. You have to give it the attention and time. And that does mean being focused. I'll give you an anecdote from my recent. I'm going to share a post that I made earlier today. I'm not one that's into P&L screenshots or any of that shit. This isn't about dollar values, because that shit's gay. It's not between you and the internet. It's between you and yourself. Trading is you against you. So not about flexing. It's none of that shit. I'm not here to be cocky or to flex. I'll be cocky about my levels when they hit, because they hit so goddamn often, but I'm not going to be cocky about my P&L growth, because it took me a long time to get here, and I want to help you guys wherever you are in your journey to get to a place where I am now, because that took hard work and dedication. So this is not about a flex whatsoever. Public service announcement. Trading is a full-time job that demands your full focus. I'm sure all of you that are a participant on CT on Twitter are well aware when OpenClaw dropped on the scene. All over the timeline, AI is exploding, and it was every single post was about. So I was like, you know what? This shit seems interesting. So I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole and see what there is to it. There was a 2-week period, a little over 2 weeks ago, or not quite even 2 weeks ago, just under 2 weeks ago, where I was spending pretty much all of my time and focus on building out my OpenClaw. It was a lot harder than the posts make it seem. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Numerous build attempts and trying to get it working, because I see the potential. But my focus, while I was still monitoring the markets and still taking trades here and there, this is that 2-week period here. And my P&L was pretty much flat, just slight little upticks. No drawdown, fortunately. But this is that 2-week period where my focus was not on trading. And then about 2 weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I'm so fucking tunnel vision on this AI build, and my brain is just fried. I need to focus back on my core competency, trading. And then I put my focus back into trading, and P&L curve went back into exponential growth, because my focus was half-ass. It was 3/4 assed working on this OpenClaw thing, and 1/4 assed on trading, and it shows. Excuse me. That was gross, and it shows. And so, you know, it's half shit post, but mostly truth. TLDR, stick to your lane, SFP guy, right? Like, I'm not a dev. I have zero coding experience, not what I'm about, but I see the potential and saw the potential. So I was like, I'm gonna spend some time to set this up, because I know that it can work for me in the back end on various aspects of my business, and still I have that operating and doing things for me. It's not quite where I want it to be yet, but it has its potential, and I will report as that moves along. But trading demands your focus. If you're only going to half-ass, no, I get it. If you have a day job and you can only commit so much time, well, then you have to adjust the time frames you're trading on. But you have to be focused on it and the time that you are spending on it. And this just goes to show I proved that because as soon as I reshifted my focus back to 100% or 95%, let's say, and just a little bit of tinkering on the AI stuff, but just mostly right back focused and locked in on my trading, the results speak for itself, right? So it's not a profession that you can just show up and do the bare minimum. I've spoken before that it's not difficult, it's simple, but it is hard in the sense that it's hard to put in all the hours. It's hard to learn how to read. It's hard to sit yourself in front of the charts and learn to read price action. Learning price action itself is not hard. And once you see the patterns and understand how to read price, it's actually quite simple. But it's also hard to have patience. It's hard to not FOMO in when you know that you have a better probability if you get the type of entry you're looking for. So that was just a bit of a rant to say, if you want to take it seriously, if you want to take trading seriously, if you want to change your life and have a job, the freedom to have a job of working for yourself, not working for someone else, the freedom to be able to work when you want, from where you want in trading, then you have to remain focused. And this just shows that without having to, again, this isn't about bragging. It's not about showing off or being flashy at all. It's just about what the difference between half-assed and fully focused is. So I just wanted to share that. Take a look real quick, right back up on the BTC chart. Let's pop my indicators on and see what we've got going on here. So you can see those those SFPs, H1 bearish breaker. See what's going on here on M1. You can see we retested the breaker, put a market bubble into it, which means late aggressive buyers into the moving averages, and SFP after the fact. See what M5 looks like. M5 SFP after the breaker tag. Take a look at M15. It's losing the trend EMAs, right? It was riding it. Didn't even tag it. That whole right up. Went sideways. Lost it. Underside tagged. Underside tagged. Underside tagged. Well, the H1 breaker is valid. Shorts in profit at the moment. Where's the Monday high? There's a lot of levels around here. What are all these? You got the weekly open, Monday high, and Asian low, all right around there. Daily open here. This was also clean, right? Large market, late market buys into the weekly level, followed by an M15 SFP into it. You have two options here. You're either trading this H1 bearish breaker, or you're waiting for price to come down here to take the next long. Okay, lads. It's been just over an hour. I'm going to wrap this up. If there's any further questions in the chat, let me know really quickly. If not, we're going to wrap it up. Let's take a look at the H4 real quick. One thing that is interesting on H4 that we haven't seen since late January. See that H4 EMA 50, the blue line? This looks like the most substantial reclaim of the H4 EMA 50 since we were trading above it over here. Yes, we got above it briefly here, briefly here. Wait, why is that on the daily chart? Give me the H4. There we go. Okay. So we were above it here. This is the most significant amount we've been above the H4 EMA 50 since we were trading over here. And look at where it aligns as well with that bullish breaker that I outlined. So you got good confluence for a long down here. If you don't want to be shorting right now, which, you know, BTC just had its strongest move in a while, maybe the short isn't the greatest idea, but I do think we trade down to here. So whether you're short biased from here to here, or you just want to wait for the next long, either way, this is where the target is here. Yep. Okay, lads. Well, if there's nothing else, I am going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone who joined. Smaller crowd today. It's all good. Rain or shine wrap is going to be here. Bull market, bear market, crab market, all the markets. We trade them either way. Once we get our high time levels hit, we look for those low time frame interactions and we take the fucking trades. Once again, this has been Rapture, Scalp, and Swing Sessions number 17, the Daily Close Show. High time frame levels, low time frame setup hunting. We took a look at BTC, ETH, SOL, and Hype. So if you want to review those, just go and find the sections. We took a pretty extensive look into what a breaker is, how I find them, how I outline them, how I define them. And one thing I should point out about breakers before we go, when you're on low time frame and you're following price action live into a high time frame level, the breaker evolves. I'm not just setting it and saying this is it. It's if it creates a different price action into it. Like say it's a bullish SFP or SFP of a low. So a bullish SFP, right? If the low time frame price action sets a low, but then sets another low, then the breaker adjusts and it's following the low. And flip that around for a bearish SFP or SFP of a swing high, you're following the low time frame high to figure out where your breaker is. It's not static, it's fluid. You have to be monitoring it live, and you can't just box something out and be like, this is it, this has to be it. No, you monitor the price action live until you get that market structure break. And we also talked about focus and why that matters significantly in trading. Process, patience, execution, lads. Process, patience, execution. Once again, I want to give a shout out to the good folks at BingX. BingX.com. Use code Rapture for sign-up bonuses. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy the show. Help the channels grow. Help proliferate my influence and help more and more people on their journey towards profitability and consistency. Once again, I am Rapture. This has been Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions. I am signing out. Ciao, lads.